Welcome to the first of our series semi-finals. After 16 chaotic and destructive heats, we're finally at the big culling moment where only two machines will be progressing through to the grand finals. So let's go to the battle board and see the lineup. Here we go, the first of our series semi-finals with seed number 1 and reigning champion Sub-Zero with the CO2 Flipper taking on the Spinning Blade and Drive of 7th seed's Endgame. The surprise package Mousetrap with the Clamping Trapper taking on High AF, seed number 24 with the lethal adjusting Spinning Blade. 29th seed's M2 with the CO2 Flipper taking on the 19th seed's Complete Control, the middleweight machine with a very powerful drive and clamping weapon. And then 5th seed's Picard Ashoy with the Thunderbolt Spinning Bar taking on the surpriser Mortis with the lifting arm Tanto Blade and the Silicon Carbide arm with the tracks to boot. Now let's get stuck into our first series semi-finals and let the wars begin! Sub-Zero Flipper. The reigning champions are back despite having a major scare against Barn in the Gold Rumble, but they've still flipped everyone they've encountered out of the arena with their CO2 Flipper and done a great job protecting their title, especially by getting revenge on Barn in the Heat final. They definitely have a strong chance of defending their title, but only time will tell if they'll be able to do so or not. Endgame Spinner. They've once again made it past the Heat final, and the Blade seems to be more destructive than the last two wars. Though Drive is still as strong as we remember it, and the Wedge Snake's pushing back against them very, very hard. But they crashed out in the semis last time. Will that happen again here, or will they go further?
Robot ears, stand by.
Sub-Zero, our reigning champions, with the CO2 powered Flipper. And 7th seed's Endgame with the powerful Drive and the lethal Spinning Blade.
3, 2, 1, activate.
Sub-Zero, I don't know why they decided to turn away from Endgame, and that's proved costly as they've lost 2 tires, and that will prove problematic for Sub-Zero unless they can get a good flipping like that. They've lost another tire, however, and they've also lost the back panel as well, so the electronics are now quite exposed. I don't know why Sub-Zero thought to turn away from Endgame at the start. I'm not sure what they thought was going to happen. Now the final tire is gone, which means that there is no drive left. Their wheels cannot touch the floor, and I won't now with the wheel completely missing and the armor panels being sent flying across the floor. And now, Endgame, they are more brutal than ever before as they send Sub-Zero out the arena. The reigning champs have crashed out, and it's Endgame heading through to the second round of the semi-finals, while Sub-Zero, well, they're gone home. What is that smoking? Is that a smoking motor? Endgame! That was just brutal. You didn't have to do that to them. Crying out loud. But you did. Sub-Zero, the reigning champions, dethroned and sent flying out of the arena and out of the competition. Endgame goes through. And will we get another upset between Mousetrap and 24th seed's High AF? Not bloody likely, Mousetrap Trapper. Out of all the machines in the semi-finals, they are the ones I think everyone is shocked with, and extremely lucky. The only real reason they're here is due to some poor driving from Firestorm 2 who were dominating their fight. They are very lucky to be here, but I'm afraid that this will be as far as they go. High AF Spinner. They've brought their destructive run from Battle of the YouTubers to their run in Series 3 and have caused serious damage, especially in the heat final against Manhole Maurice. And they managed to self-right themselves, which was very impressive to see. We know how dangerous the machine is, and they have the potential of going all the way. That is as long as they can protect their vulnerable wheels and make sure that their weapon doesn't break again.
Roboteers, stand by.
Poor Mousetrap up against the lethal blade of High AF. Mousetrap with the guillotine weapon, very much the underdogs. High AF, lethal and brutal. Will Mousetrap pull an upset here, I wonder? Or will High AF prove everyone right?
2, 1, activate.
Well, not much movement from anyone. Now High AF getting their blade up to speed. And already doing some damage to Mousetrap. You can see a little bit of red on the floor. That's from Mousetrap. I think that's off the wheel. Or at least part of it anyway. High AF. And now a part of the weapon's broken and flung away. I think that's the motor for it as well. You can see there. Oh, look at that brutality! Completely destroyed! Wow! Well, they're not coming into this now. They're definitely out. Look at this. Off comes the motor and the remaining part of the weapon, as well as the top plate wedge. And now on fire. High AF. Well, off comes the other tire. They've also lost their wheel. I think all the electronics, the majority of them, have been torn apart. That is just amazing. And now, to see Mousetrap go into the pits, Mousetrap taking it in their stride, I can affirm that. They did want that machine destroyed, to be honest. They get ready for a new build. But that's definitely what we expect of High AF. Absolute brutality at its finest. It's just beautiful. You just decide, yeah, I don't want you being around anymore. I'm just gonna rip you completely apart. Oh, good. I don't think we've seen something that destructive from High AF since Battle of the YouTubers against Mortis. It has to be said. Well done, High AF. They're through. Commiserations is a Mousetrap. Good grief. Next up, M2 and Complete Control. M2 Flipper. They've finally gone past the heat final and are now, for the first time in their career in Robot Wars, in uncharted territory. They had a strong challenge getting here and nearly lost another heat final against Golem, but managed to get the upper hand in the end and throw them over the wall and out. Can they keep their new winning streak up, I wonder? Complete Control. Control Bot. They made the heat final in the Lost Wars and made the grand finals in the New Blood Championship, as well as the grand finals in the Battle of the YouTubers Championships on the main channel. And now they've reached the semi-finals. Can they keep up their impressive run?
Roboteers, stand by.
M2, the 29th seeds, with the CO2 powered flipper. First time in the semis, and Complete Control, the middleweight 19th seeds, with the lifting forks and the clamping weapon. And this should be a pretty interesting semi-final battle, I think.
2, 1, activate.
And the reason is because Complete Control has two advantages, speed being one, and the other being the fact that they can get underneath the high ground clearance at the back of M2, which will cause M2 to utilize their flipper to help right themselves. But because of the design and how they were angled, it will cause them to use up a lot of CO2. That'll give M2 a huge problem later on in the fight. But Complete Control also has one problem, which is they are a middleweight. M2 is a heavyweight, meaning Complete Control can be flipped extremely extremely easily, as they've done to M2 here. Once again, struggled running themselves, and have got themselves up and over, and have now flipped complete control, and that was poor driving on complete control's part to drive up the front of M2. That was poor driving. Hey! Self-rights though, almost. And M2 decides to cancel that. And now, complete control, trying to get back. They were dominant throughout most of this until one bit of poor driving, and out the arena, that's the end of complete control. Their run ends here, and M2 continues heading through in the semi-finals. Well done, M2. I'm interested to see how far they can go in this semi-final. And that's also the second fight they've actually won where they were on the receiving end. They had the same problem against Golem in the Heat final. And they've had it again here against Complete Control, but they've beaten them and thrown them out. M2 goes through. Hopefully they might be able to reach the grand finals. Until we get to that point, our final fight for this first round, Pika Destroy and Mortis. Pika Destroy Spinner. We saw how destructive they were in the last wars, and they've been just as destructive, if not more so, in this series. The Spinning Thunderbolt bar completely obliterated Big Nipper and tore them absolutely apart. Definitely the deadliest spinning bar to enter Robot Wars, and a lot of eyes on this machine to go very far in this competition. Mortis! Flipper Axe Bot! Both previous wars had a similar story for them as they crashed down in the Bronze Rumble both times. But this wars, they've actually done extremely well and made a semi-final. They definitely shocked everyone in the Heat final by seeing the end of Dan Tomkia. No matter what happens this series, they should be very proud of themselves.
Roboteers, stand by.
Pika Destroy, scene number 5, with the Thunderbolt spinning bar. And Mortis, with the lifting arm, the Tanto blade, the tracks, and the silicon carbide coated armor. And again, have done extremely well getting here in this series.
3, 2, 1, activate.
Their best series so far, and already on the attack, and the tip's gone! The tip of the axe is gone, the pin may be going down, but the tip of their axe is gone, it's lying on the floor! That means there will be no more axe attack! Well, you can use your axe as much as you want, but without that tip, it is worthless! Bits and pieces of Mortis's front littering the floor as the front plate gets caved in! And we've seen that type of damage before in Battle of the YouTubers when they fought against High AF! And now, their whole front plate's gone! The only part of the machine that's not coated in silicon carbide! Mortis! It has to be said! Wow! That one of the tracks is vulnerable! That's silicon carbide again! The only machine we've seen cut through that's High AF's weapon! Off comes that track guard, and that leaves their entire left-hand side drive vulnerable! They are now vulnerable to an attack! And that's the second time we've seen a machine slice through the silicon carbide armor! Only High AF's pulled that off! And now, Pika Destroy has, and they can now tear into the tracks! Off comes a chain! Or is that a track? I'm not sure! Mortis still driving perfectly well! And now playing way too close to the pit. Off comes the other track guard! And now Mortis, could they pull off another upset here and throw Pika Destroy down the pit? Pika Destroy having to be very careful here, because they know that the Pit of Oblivion is their problem, It's their biggest weakness, and Mortis, I think, have come to a sudden halt here. Has something vital been knocked out? I think it has. There's no life in Mortis. This is where Mortis crash out. One final nudge into the pit. That's the end of Mortis, but fair dues to them to get through to the series semi-finals. Definitely the best series so far, as Pika Destroy spins in delight as they make it through to the second round of the semi-finals. Again, commiserations to Mortis as they crash out here, but fair due to them to getting this far in the first place. Pika Destroy, they progress on through. Now here's how the lineup looks for the second round. Pika Destroy will be taking on M2 just a little bit later, but first up, an interesting spinning blade fight between 7th seeds Endgame and 24th seeds High AF.
Robot ears, stand by.
Endgame with the spinning blade who defeated reigning champ Sub-Zero and threw them out the arena. And High AF with their own spinning blade who completely tore apart Mousetrap and left pretty much barely anything left of them.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
This series has definitely shown High AF's more destructive power, and the new build for Endgame definitely seems, well, it seems better. Off comes the tire, and I think that's off of High AF because Endgame's tires are blue, so High AF's missing a tire. And I think it's the front one as well, the front left side. But right now, the weapons are just pinging off one another. That front plow on Endgame is very, very tough. It can definitely take those brutal hits. Down goes the pit. And now High AF, Endgame nearly threw themselves out of the pit there. And High AF now trying to use their weapon to self-right. Drives away, takes more damage to the wheels, and now, roll the weapon! The rising mechanism's gone! It's happened again! Look at this! This time, direct attack from the blade of Endgame! And with that, High AF, their weapon's practically gone because while the weapon is spinning, they don't exactly have a lot of control. And you can see that there, they've stopped the weapon going, meaning IAF is now weaponless. And I think they're probably even driveless too, and they're thrown up and over! And now, no way to self-right! And Endgame have done brutally in this fight. IAF, a terrifying machine, and Endgame have made light work of them! Poor... Why are you just spinning around? Why are you... Okay. Guess they're just currently dancing the Footloose. Don't know why, but... Poor High AF. And this is something High AF does to their opponents. We're not used to seeing Endgame cause this level of damage. It's definitely taken us all by storm. It's taken High AF by storm. Poor High AF. But they have done brilliantly this series to make the second round of the semi-finals more damage. Yeah, you can leave them alone. They're well and truly dead. Poor High AF. But they've done brilliantly this series. The second round of the semi-finals. No disgrace there, especially to lose into a lethal weapon like Endgame's. who progressed through to their second grand final. You can leave them alone now, Endgame. There's nothing IAF can do. They are well and truly eliminated and immobilized. Endgame, suddenly terrifying. I don't know what changes they've made to their machine since the last wars, but good grief, that machine, I'm gonna have nightmares about it now. That is just brutal. I don't think even IAF's scared of him at this point. But it's Endgame going through to the grand finals. And which of our next two machines will be joining them? Will it be the Flipper of M2? Or will it be the Thunderbolt spinning bar of Pika Destroy?
Roboteers, stand by.
M2 with the CO2 powered Flipper. And Pika Destroy with the Thunderbolt spinning bar. This is looking to be an interesting battle, a flipper spinner affair, and we love those on Robot Wars.
2, 1, activate.
So how will this go? Well, Pika Destroy, the first to attack, and already ripped off an armor panel of M2. So that could cause problems, but now M2 to get their flipper into play, and another armor panel has come off. Whoa! And Pika Destroy nearly in the pit there. Look at this, a flip and another flip, and the Thunderbolt bar almost had them in there. Almost had them down the pit, and that could have been very bad for Pika Destroy. They would have been out, and M2 would have been in the grand finals. Woohoo! Very close, very close. Well, I don't know what M2 was planning there, but M2 in the pit with Pika Destroy following suit. On final push. Well, I don't know how to call that one. I don't know what drove M2 to throw themselves into the pit, but that's what they've done. Pika Destroy into the grand finals. Pika Destroy chases M2 down into the pit, and Endgame takes out one of the most feared machines in the competition and reaches their second grand finals. We look forward to seeing how these two machines fare in the final showdown. But until then, take care, and I'll see you next time. Farewell.